Hello, welcome to Jewish Culture and Jewish Awareness. My name is Dustin Hausner. I'm the Jewish Outreach and Program Director at the Wayne YMCA. All our Jewish programming is funded through the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey. So today we have yet again a truly wonderful guest who I'm personally very excited about because I met this wonderful individual a little over a year ago now, and I just greatly admire her. I think the work that she's doing now is incredibly important, and I'm just really pleased to have my friend Joyce Fein on the show today. Joyce, it's so great to have you here with us today.
Thanks, Dustin. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So before we get into the Confidence Hustle and the consulting and all the great work you're doing right now, for those who haven't had the pleasure of speaking to you or meeting you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I guess I'll start for my connection to Dustin. I met Dustin at the Y. I had worked at the Y for almost 15 years. So I have a background in nonprofit. I live in Wayne, and I'm a single mom to two boys. And I have since gone out on my own and started consulting. And my background in nonprofit was mostly marketing and communications. So now I'm helping women-owned small businesses with their marketing and their content.
That's fantastic. So I definitely want to talk to you both about your consulting work and this wonderful interview series you have. That's the Confidence Hustle. But let's start about the consulting work. So you mentioned that the work involves like helping women, small business owners, I think solo entrepreneurs, if I read the website correctly, which I love that term. I've never heard that one before. I love it.
So I think, yeah, solopreneurs. Yeah.
I love it. It's very catchy. So,
Thanks.
um, I'm curious why, particularly, you wanted to focus on women entrepreneurs, small businesses. Was there a particular reason for that direction, or is that something you have personally just done a lot of work with? I would love to hear more.
Well, I just feel that women, I guess especially moms, have a lot on their plate. And then when the pandemic hit, and there was a lot of news and a lot of attention being paid to the the moms who are trying to work from home, trying to raise their kids, and trying to do all these things. And my heart really went out to them because although my kids now are older, but I remember what that was like, and especially as a single parent, and how difficult it is to wear so many hats. And the pandemic just exacerbated everything. And I just feel sometimes that women and their stories aren't told as much as I personally would like to hear. And so that prompted me to start paying more attention and getting that to be the focus, which has been really great.
Well, let me ask because you obviously it's consulting work you do, but as you mentioned, there's a number of challenges. I'm not sure which one of us that was, but I wanted to ask you in regards to challenges women face in regards to being small business owners or solo entrepreneurs. Do you think a lot of it has to do with lack of resources to be successful in those areas, or do you think there is a good amount of it that is like social challenges of social norms, as you said, being a parent or kind of what is the right thing to do at like certain ages or in certain positions? So what has been your knowledge and experience?
That is such a good question, Dustin. I really think it's a combination of both. If you're looking for it, there are resources for everything. But I think that a lot of the challenge is balancing time, and then in turn not having that balance, and that balance can be different for different people. Something that works for one person in balancing their work and their life and their parenting could be a totally different balance for somebody else. But I think that the time factor is really what is challenging, and being able to focus on what needs to get done because there are so many priorities. um, does that answer the question?
No, I believe so, and I'll reference it later. But I think this is a topic that's brought up a couple times in your interview series with like, a number of different people. But I'll talk about that in a little bit. But in regards to your consulting work, if I recall correctly, it's a mixture of a couple of different things. It's writing, it's videos, it's podcasts. So can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the different areas of that type of consulting you want?
Mhm. So I help women own small businesses with their writing, especially if there's lots of times it's not proofreading your stuff, not having a strength in that area to be able to express yourself professionally. So there's and you don't want to come out with your brand new business or put yourself out to the world with your new brand and you have all kinds of errors and spelling mistakes. It really doesn't help a potential client feel confident that you're on your game. So that's the written piece of it. So I help people present themselves well in their LinkedIn profiles, their website pages, if they're going to write a blog article about something, just being able to be as professional and polished as they can. So that's the written piece of what I do. I also help people with their online presence. So I've had, experience myself with, I interview just like you do when we're going to talk about later the confidence hustle interviews. So helping women to get comfortable talking about themselves on camera, just knowing how to express themselves professionally and feeling good about doing a live post. A lot of people are afraid to do a live Facebook post, and with good reason. I was really afraid of doing that also. But it's so prevalent right now to do a live post, either on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. And you have to be comfortable with that in order to kind of stay in the game, so to speak. So I help people with that. And then also podcasting, which I guess we're kind of doing a version of that now, but you could see us. But there's so many podcasts and they've really exploded since the pandemic hit. And it's just a great way to talk about yourself, get yourself seen or heard by multitudes of people that you normally wouldn't. So having that sense of I want to say comfortability, but I don't think that's really comfortableness. Just being able to talk about yourself and do it all with confidence. So and I help book podcasts for people who are looking to talk about their business and they are, they're the expert in their field, basically.
Well, I might give you a call offline about the podcast thing because that certainly is an area that's very interesting. As you said,
So great.
I think it's also just funny how things just turn around and like things like driving movie theaters were out and then they came back in, records came out. To me, podcasting is basically radio. It's basically
Yes.
radio that then we have television. Now everyone's going back to this podcast, which is like radio. So I find it hilarious.
Right.
So
Yes.
I want to talk to you about the Confidence Hustle. I have fortunately watched a couple of episodes. I think it's really interesting. I enjoy it because it does. It's not just about having positive confidence booster, even though there is plenty of that on the interview show, but it's also about these different variety of women who either changed their fields and became successful, people who are really doing very well in the work they do and the struggles they had. So I'm curious, what made you not only have this interview series, but why the name The Confidence Hustle? And I'm very curious why that as well.
So what made me start this was really my interest in learning about other people and finding inspiration in other people's stories. And I always felt that it would be so terrific if more people could hear everyday stories about other women who are doing things, ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. And I know that that's a phrase that's been said many times before, but it's really true. And thinking I could never do such and such, but then you listen to an interview and see these women who are just like you, same fears, same concerns, same maybe life situations, and they're doing it. And I just really felt that it was important to share those stories, and I love learning about all these women. um, I got the name because a friend of mine actually has her boys in in a baseball program called Hustle Baseball.
Hmm.
And I just love hustle, what hustle means. And everything is, you have to work on things when you really want something. And lots of times people just say, well, I'm just not confident. And that's their excuse. So that is why they can't do something. But even with confidence, lots of people have to hustle with their confidence. It doesn't come naturally. And that's where I got the name, the Confidence Hustle. I just thought the name evokes these different feelings and meanings about working hard to get where you want to go. So that's kind of where I came up with it.
No, it's a very catchy name,
Thank you.
and again, you've had a very nice variety of guests so far on your on the interview series. And for anyone, and we'll talk about it, how people can find you. But you have a YouTube channel where people can find the interviews. But on your website, you have a couple of listed recommended interviews. One of them I recently rewatched was "Finding the Courage to Be True to Yourself," and that was a really good one. I really liked the person you were speaking with, but throughout it, it seemed like there were certain struggles that she had been dealing with, whether it was her family situation, whether it was her switching to a brand new career or trying, a different thing she always wanted to do for a long time. And you seemed in agreement, and it made me think that, there's a lot of women who have certain challenges that, as maybe a man, I don't necessarily have to deal with, or I don't have to have those challenges or those negative things thrust upon me. And
Yes.
I don't want to make this a whole, what are all the challenges women have versus men, but I'm curious if there's certain things that you have found has been continuous in the struggle for a lot of women leaders, a lot of people who want to start out, that have you found has been commonalities in based on your interviews and work.
One, I think women, and this is just some research that I've done personally, if a woman doesn't fit all the boxes for a certain position or a leadership role per se, they won't go for it because they don't fit every single box. But on the other hand, a man will see the job posting or see the position or think, I got 5 out of 7. I'm
Right.
going for it. And they don't, somehow they're not as hung up as women are on perfectly fitting every single area. And that I see as a big difference between men and women. I guess also women's feelings about what others will think.
Hmm.
A lot of times women think more about that than men. Men don't seem to be, again, as hung up as women are, as what will people think of me. And that's a good example of the interview that you just referenced. My guest had a very interesting divorce situation that most women don't have, and she was completely overtaken by the guilt and what other people thought of her until she was able to break free of that and not let that stop her. So I sometimes feel that women let things stop them a lot quicker than men do.
Well, as you know, I'm a fairly new parent, and one of the things I learned very quickly, and you mentioned it in the episode, is just kind of the idea that the mom needs to be able to do everything and has to be able to do it all perfectly. And just a very quick example, if I may, is I was taking me out for a walk, me as my daughter, and we were going out in the crib, and I had all these lovely people stop me and say, "What a good father I am, how wonderful," like all these lovely compliments. But Michelle's done it a million times. I've done it with her. She's done it independently. No
Yeah.
compliment, no nothing. It's just it's expected that she, and as the father, it's just not expected. And it for me as an individual, it angers me greatly because it's
Mm.
like, she does all these million great things and it's just expected. Whereas if I do something very simple like changing a diaper or something and someone sees it, suddenly I'm super dad. And it's but I think there's a root to that of the challenges a lot of female leaders, entrepreneurs, I've seen people where it's the question of, when you show confidence versus, men then saying very negative terminology for women who show any sort of ambition or confidence. And it's, I guess, well, this kind of goes into a little bit, for your consulting work, is is there a right answer? Is there a one truth, or is it something that's almost situational because of the many complexities women deal with in the professional realm, as well as just in society in general?
Yeah, I would agree with that, the latter. I think that it is complex and it's situational, and it really depends on the individual, the the environment she finds herself in, and also um, the deep rooted thought process that we've all kind of our society has grown up with, that women do things this way and men do things this way, which is, I think, changing in a lot of ways. It really is, but it's still, like you said yourself, it's still out there. So and lots of times when women show strength, or they show courage, or they just go for what they want, it's almost like there have to be on two sides of the fence, because on the one hand you have to be really nice, and on the other hand, if you're not, you're thought of as mean or aggressive. But if a man does that, not so much.
Yeah.
And again, I don't really think I'm a feminist. I just notice these things. And and it's, I guess, as a single mom, it bothers me somewhat, but I feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and this too shall evolve and change over time.
Yeah. So let me bring up, because in that interview, and actually quite a few, and I'm noticing this more and more as I've gotten older, is it used to be that you had a singular job, and the idea is you had that singular job throughout the rest of your life, you'd be taken care of, so on and so forth. More and more people are doing careers and switching to something else and finding like that's kind of where their passion is, or that's where their overall end is. And I'm curious if you have found in your clients, and again, I'm not asking for specific names, of course, privacy, but have you found that that's been something that's been a common theme? And if so, is that a positive, that people are feeling like they can do these things now that they never could before?
Yes, 100%. And I think it's very empowering for the women that I've been working with, who are basically applying their skills and their knowledge from their job that they've been at for years, but there's this deep-seated wish or nudge
Mm.
that they've always had, that they are now being able to address, and they have the courage to acknowledge it, and they want to do something with it. And I also think that the times that we're living in have really given people pause to think about what's happening in their lives. How can they make things better? And just realizing that things can happen at the drop of a hat, and you should really take advantage of your gifts now. And I think that's also part of it too.
So since I referenced it quite a few times, where if people want to either watch the Confidence Hustle, or they want to find you in regards to consulting and such, where are the best places for people to find you?
Thanks, Dustin. It's my website, which is my name, Joyce Goldberg, which is my maiden name for those of you who know me as Joyce Fein. It's joycegoldberg.com. And that's my website. And my YouTube channel is my entire name, Joyce Goldberg Fein. And then you'll see all the confidence interviews on my YouTube channel. And we're still planning more, and they're a lot of fun. And people get to chime in and share their thoughts with the guest, or ask questions, because we do them live on Facebook. So that's another place where you can go to see them. And my Facebook group page is called The Confidence Hustle, because that's where we put all the Confidence Hustle interviews. So you can also go there.
Excuse me. And my last question I want to ask, and it's seems kind of silly based on our conversation so far, but for someone who, especially a female leader who wants to take the plunge into doing something new, or doing the career, or starting a new career, or doing something like that, a huge, I would say, part of the work you're doing is giving the confidence to make that step. And I was wondering if you had any words of either wisdom or experience that you would want to share for anyone watching who wants to, but just for whatever reason has that pause of taking that step.
I would say that there's never the perfect time. You're going to wait to try to make your dreams come true at the perfect time. You obviously, planning is good. You want to plan and not jump into something, but if you're waiting for the exact perfect time, it will never happen. It's not like when you have a baby. You want to have a baby at the perfect time, but it's never the perfect time, right? So I would say the same for this. And it is a process, and patience is very important. It's not going to happen overnight, and you're going to shift gears probably numerous times, but stick with it. And patience is really, as they say, a virtue when it comes to starting your own thing and trying, following your own bliss, so to speak.
No, Joyce, I want to thank you so much for making the time to speak with us today, to telling us about your consulting work, to tell us about obviously the confidence hustle, and I wish you all the best in your endeavors. And it was really nice speaking with you today.
Thanks, Dustin. It was really nice speaking with you too, and thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. To everyone out there, be safe, be well, and hope you'll watch us soon. Thank you.